Promoter and former boxing champion Oscar De La Hoya has weighed in on the Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva fight, and his prediction will shock you. Oscar thinks the problem child will knock Silva out because of one main reason. And with around a week left in the fight, Jake has also locked horns with Conor McGregor, claiming a fight against the former UFC double champion will be easy work. Stay tuned for more on the stories. First up, too hot to handle. If we're going off public sentiment alone, then Anderson Silva is the clear favorite in this matchup. Even if you were to put all that aside and just compare the two gentlemen on paper, Anderson's achievements would significantly shadow not just Jake Paul, but any fighter on the planet. But since this is a boxing match and not MMA, there's a possibility that the problem child could actually squeeze out a victory. Before fighting Tyron Woodley, fans never thought of the YouTube sensation as a legitimate boxer. He was another kid on the block, strategically picking out guys with minimum boxing experience so he could get easy wins. But like we just said, it all changed after he knocked out former UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley. And ahead of his super hyped fight against the one and only Anderson Silva, boxing legend Oscar De La Hoya thinks Jake will smash the Brazilian to solidify himself as a serious character. For starters, let's not forget the fact that Jake is 22 years younger than Anderson Silva. So when Oscar says the problem child might knock him out because of his sheer power, we can't help but agree with him. Jake is undoubtedly in his prime, or we'd say he's still getting there. He's learning, and since he stepped up to take on such a big name, we think winning this fight would do wonders for his career. Next, did Silva really get lucky? Let's not even talk about Anderson's MMA career. This video would probably go on and on if we started talking about the impact he's made on the sport. But it's not just MMA. Silva has carried that momentum into the boxing world as well. He's won 3 of his first 4 fights inside the ring. And if he's able to school the youngster on the 29th of October, he'll have a solid boxing resume of 4 wins, coming at just 1 loss. But we haven't even told you the best part yet. His resume is way more impressive than Jake's. When the problem child was fighting bums, Silva was taking on real challenges, going up against former world middleweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and MMA superstar Tito Ortiz. Anderson won convincingly against both of these guys, but Oscar still isn't impressed. In fact, the 49-year-old thinks Silva got lucky in the fight against Chavez. He didn't comment on the Tito fight since both men were from the same sport. But since Julio has such a huge reputation in the world of boxing, Oscar finds it impossible for Anderson to beat him without getting lucky. Come on. I mean, Chavez Jr. wasn't even 20% of himself, okay? Conditioning-wise, physically, just wasn't him. Alright, we get what the former 11-time boxing champ is trying to say here, but doesn't it seem like he has something personal against Silva? Or wait, he might not have a personal grudge or something, but his decision is definitely biased. Not once has he discussed Jake's record or his past opponents, and how he's only fought maybe 2 tough fights in his entire career. Moving on, still no pro boxer. So let's just say the YouTuber turned boxer knocks out Anderson Silva and improves his record to 6-0. Has he managed to cement himself as a legitimate boxer? Will the fighting world finally recognize him as someone who can fight? Well, if you're a fan of the Paul brothers, then we hate to break it to you. Winning this fight might give him a bit more popularity, but as far as becoming a legitimate boxer goes, he's getting nothing. He'll have a perfect record of 6 wins coming from 6 fights. But you know what's so ironic about that? Not one of these fights has been against a professional boxer. Jake has fought a YouTuber, a wrestler, and a striker who trained boxing just to fight him. Oh, and let's not forget Nate Robinson, a boxing match against a basketball player. Just let that sink in for a second. Anyway, we're still glad Oscar isn't turning a blind eye, as he also thinks Jake needs to fight a professional boxer to get respect in the combat world. And don't get us wrong, Silva is an exceptional fighter, and even at 47 years of age, he's capable of doing some serious damage. He's not a natural boxer though. He'll definitely go down as one of the greatest strikers in UFC history. But yeah, as far as boxing goes, he's not a professional. Coming up, he's no longer a challenge. The internet is a really fun place. Even if you said something like 5 years ago, it never forgets. And to think how Jake was running after the Irishman, hoping to secure the biggest money fight of that time. But after becoming the poster boy of celebrity boxing, the problem child is in the driving seat, as fighters call him out since he's pretty good at bringing in the numbers. So technically, it's not Jake who's chasing the money now. It's actually the money chasing Jake, because this guy has more haters than fans. It's super obvious. But these are the same guys who buy a PPV each time to see him get knocked out, only for Paul to step up his game and take things to the next level. And with almost a week left in the Silva fight, Jake talked about how Conor McGregor would be a much easier opponent compared to the Brazilian Spider. Honestly speaking, we're not really sure what to make of that statement. Boxing is a striking game, and if Conor wiped out not one, but 2 divisions because of his elite striking abilities, Jake is light work. Not only was he one of the fastest strikers in the game, but his punches packed an insane amount of power. Remember the Jose Aldo fight? Aldo was literally the GOAT of the division, and Conor put an end to his reign in under 15 seconds with a devastating blow to the thinker. If Jake was to find himself in the way of something like that, we think it'll be lights out for the 26-year-old. Up next, nothing but a flop. Whoever came up with the nickname Notorious could not have done a better job at describing Conor McGregor. The former double champion is truly notorious, both inside and outside the octagon. He's managed to extend his success in combat sports and was even the highest paid athlete a few years back. And after getting called out repeatedly by Jake Paul, Mystic Mac has silenced the YouTube boxer, calling him a flop and a nobody. Also, has anyone noticed how the problem child did such an excellent job at covering up the fact that it's actually him who's been running after Conor for so long? The Irishman has turned him down on multiple occasions. And when you're getting paid for fighting guys like Floyd Money Mayweather, the last thing you want to do is fight a YouTuber. Now, we're not saying Jake's wrong for thinking the fight might be easier than a match against Silva. And before you call us out for saying something so controversial, just hear us out. Conor might be younger and more agile, but he's sort of lost his touch. He's making millions of dollars along with filming a Hollywood movie. Like, does this guy really want to fight? Sure, Jake isn't a legitimate boxer yet and whatnot, but have you seen the kid train? He takes his boxing career very seriously, and hard work can beat talent. Last but not least, spoken like a true businessman. Not a lot of people know this, but Jake Paul is a really smart guy. Not only does he work extremely hard to dominate inside the ring, but he's also very good with the numbers. He thinks like a businessman. And when talking about the possibility of a fight against the Irishman somewhere down the line, the problem child said that it's near impossible now. From the business end of things, it's a better fight for Conor. He knows Conor will get paid more since he's a global superstar. But as for the fight itself, Jake thinks McGregor will never fight him because it'll destroy his legacy. It'll be a sellout event if Jake and Conor ever decide to share the ring. No doubt about it. But it'll actually be McGregor who has more to lose. See, if this fight ever happens and Paul ends up winning, the Irishman will be the fighter who got whooped by a YouTuber turned boxer in his 20s. It's just bad for business, you know? It's a fight Conor would avoid at all costs. Not because he isn't confident, but because there's too much to lose. That's it from our side, folks. So, what do you think? Will Jake be able to knock Silva out on the 29th of October? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.